dreams just random images fired from an unconscious brain during sleep? Or something much more important, like life-saving inner guidance? How dreams can be healing and early warning tools for disease, financial crisis, or success. And love is still one of the behavioral science's greatest unanswered questions. Hello, I'm your host, author Kat O'Keefe Kanavos. Welcome to Dreaming Healing, where dreams and cutting-edge scientific research meet on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network. Dreaming Healing is every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, when you can call in and ask Kat questions about your amazing dreams. Talk on air. Call toll-free 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, but hey, my friends will call me Kat, so I hope you will too. We have a great show for you tonight. So if you already pre-ordered the book, Soul Design, you might want to get it now, because I'm going to be reading a little section out of it and asking the author, Dr. Linda Backman, about it. What a great book. So tonight's Soul show, gosh, I'm really doing well tonight. I'm so excited about this book. The show title tonight is Soul Design, Past Lives, Origins, Purpose, and Your Dreams. Yeah, you can see why I'm really excited. How many of you have dreamt about your past lives? I have, yeah. So tonight we are going to help you discover your soul design, comprised of soul origin, archetypes, purpose, and use that knowledge to actually elevate your current life with Dr. Linda Backman, drawing from more than 40 years as a psychologist and 30 years as a regressionist. Do you think dreams serve a purpose in your life purpose? And we're going to get into that, but first we're going to do our protection meditation. So for those of you who are new to my program tonight, or maybe, you've only done one other one, remember, we do this protection meditation because we go into areas of the psyche, areas of our lives that leave us open. And so with this protection, you can feel confident being really open and knowing you have protection around you. And it holds forever. So get into a place that's comfortable for you right now. Get into a chair that's comfortable. And if you're listening to this show on your radio and you're driving, or you've got it on your computer in the seat next to you and you're listening, don't close your eyes. For those of you who are only listening to this show and you want to see it live, you'd like to see our guest, you'd like to see me, you can go to my website, KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com, and I know that's a mouthful, or you can just type into Google search Kat, K-A-T, Kat, the Queen of Dreams, and I will come up. And then if you look at the top of my website page, you'll see these black buttons. And I think it's a second to the left. It says radio show. Click on that, and it will take you to my website page on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. And from there, you'll have all the information of tonight's guest, including all of her links to her book, her website, and they're all hot. So once you get there, you can just click on them and they'll take you right to the information that you're seeking. So right now, again, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. This will still work. And if you're not, if you're with us in a comfortable, safe place, just sit very, very deep in your seat. Feel yourself relaxing. Let your shoulders go. And just follow my voice. Take a deep breath in. Hold it. Imagine any negativity that came toward you this week, getting caught in that breath of life, and blow it out right into the purple flame of Saint Germain. See it converting into beautiful golden light, going up past the stars, past the planets, up into the realm of the pearly gates, bouncing off those gates, coming right back down at the fastest speed there is, the speed of thought, into your seventh chakra and filling your whole body with warm, tingling, golden light from your nose down to your toes. Just feel that tingle. Now again, deep breath in, hold it. Imagine any negativity you may have done, caught in that breath of life. Blow it out. Again, into the purple flame of Saint Germain. Going up past the stars and the planets, making that U-turn at the pearly lights, on the gates of the pearly gates. Coming down into your seventh chakra and filling your whole body with golden, healing, vibrating light. Again, feel it filling your body. One more time. Deep breath in. Hold it. Imagine any negativity from your childhood you've been carrying with you in that breath of life and blow it out right into that purple flame, Saint Germain. See it going on the same path as the other two breaths of life. Up past the stars, the planets, to the pearly gate, making a U-turn and coming right into your chakra and filling your whole body with tingling golden light. Now I want you to imagine holding in your hand a power gift. A power gift is anything holding life and love. So it can be your favorite stone, your favorite flower, your favorite plant. And although it may be deceased, it still lives on with you. So that is the life in it, because love does that. Love never dies. It can also be your favorite pet that's deceased. Tiny, hold it in your hand. It's powerful. I want you to swing that gift all around your body. Imagine a big mirrored bubble building off of that love and life all around you. Only that which is of the highest and best, brought by your spirit guides and guardian angels, can enter that mirrored bubble. Everything else is reflected back from whence it came. We wish it so, and therefore it is. When you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Until then, just listen to my voice as I tell you a little bit about our guest tonight. If you have trouble getting back into your body, simply put your hands together in the prayer form and press on it. Those are all the pressure points for your whole body. Just like you're praying, push a little bit, especially in your fingertips, and you will come fully back into your being. So let me tell you a little bit about our awesome guest tonight. Dr. Linda Backman is a licensed psychologist with more than 45 years of experience in private practice. Dr. Backman studied, co-taught, and co-established the Society for Spiritual Regression, now the Newton Institute, with pioneering therapist and best-selling author, Dr. Michael Newton. She has conducted thousands of past lives and between lives hypnotic regression sessions. Between lives. I'm really interested in that. For more on Dr. Backman and her work, visit ravenheartcenter.com, and that's RAVENHEARTCENTER.com, ravenheartcenter.com. And again, this link is live on my Dreaming Healing page, so you can go there and click on it. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Linda Backman.
Thank you, Kat. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you for being with us. You have such an exciting book. Is there anything else you would like to share with our audience about yourself and what you do before we get started?
Well, I can certainly share, it might be useful, Kat, for me to share how I got into this kind of work and how that all happened, and then we can dive in wherever you want to
Yes,
dive in.
that's pretty much part of my second question. So, let's go for it right now.
Okay, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so before I was in my middle 40s, a little over 30 years ago, I didn't understand soul, reincarnation, past lives. I didn't know if I believed in that or I didn't. I was a psychologist in private practice. I did a lot of grief and loss work. I thought I knew why I did that. I really, until I had an experience in 1993, I didn't really know why. Um, so what happened in the spring of 93 is that my original psychologist colleague, a man in his early 30s, we had built a practice of psychologists and psychiatrists. Sadly, from a human perspective, my colleague passed from a type of lung cancer. Within about 48 hours of his passing, I suddenly began to have spiritual experiences that I'd never had before, at least in my conscious awareness, and certainly in the first time in this life. Um, Basically, he began to talk to me from the other side. I really didn't know how that worked or how that happened, but I was convinced that intuitively I was receiving communication, support, love, guidance from him. And I also began to sense that he was showing me scenes of past lives we had shared. So part of me thought, well, this is crazy. And, psychologists don't get into this kind of thing, I thought. Um, but I knew what I was experiencing. So, very long story, cat made short, I decided I'd better explain to my husband what I was experiencing. So, my husband sat down in that 2 or 3 day period after the passing of my colleague. My husband knew my colleague. They were at times had lunch and played golf with each other. So I began to explain to my husband what I was experiencing. And my husband is a retired university professor. So um, I think I half expected that my husband would look back at me with some, incredulous look like, where did you get all this? But that's not what happened. And so that long story made short, my husband very calmly said, okay. And so I said, well, do you think this is weird? And he said, no. And I said, well, that surprises me. Why don't you think this is weird? And basically what he said that day, he said, I think I've blocked out something that happened to me as a child. And he began to explain to me that only on this day in 93 did he remember that when he was a boy, in his own private time outside in the yard, he'd lay on his back, he'd watch the clouds move in the sky. He was about maybe 10 years old, and he began to remember his past lives in detail. And he said, but he said, I'd forgotten about that. He said, I think I just pushed that all away because no one ever talked to me about such things. And so my husband had fully forgotten. But the bottom line is, he said, if you're interested in this, I support you. Um, if you want to go down the road of learning about soul, past lives, why we're here, where we come from, go for it. So that was extremely helpful permission for me back in 1993.
Wow, that's amazing. The reason that amazes me because we've never met, we've never had the opportunity to talk before, but I always dreamed when I was little and when I was reading your book. I know it said one of the exercises in there is to think about the places that you think about all the time, even as a child, that you'd like to go back to or you'd like to visit because you think you've never been there. And
Right.
mine was Egypt.
Mm,
And it was during one of my dreams, the Queen of Dreams, that I realized my husband and I were together in Egypt.
right.
And we worked together trying, and it's very weird I wouldn't say this to anybody but you and our audience today,
Right.
but we were doing almost like experiments on animals where we would put like maybe one head of an animal onto the body of another animal and creating these creatures that were actually living. And I
Mhm.
remember waking up from that dream going, that has to mean something else because there can be nothing that weird. But then when I was really young, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. We were living in Berlin, Germany, because I'm an army brat. My dad was a Green Beret. The wall had just gone up,
Mhm.
and all of the mothers got together in one mother's dining room. We were all best friends, best girlfriends. There were 5 of us. And we were sitting on the floor playing with our Barbie dolls and together because we didn't know what was going to happen. We couldn't air vac out. The Russians said that they would shoot our planes down if the military tried to air vac us out. So we kind of stayed together, and our mothers were scared out of their minds, but we didn't really realize what was going on because we were so young. And I was playing with my Barbie doll, and one of the mothers said, "You know what? Kat is going to be one of the first ones to get married." And my mom said, "Really? Why is that?" And they said, "Well, she's just so pretty." And my mom looked at me and she said, "Kathy, you're going to be the first to get married?" I said, "No, I'm going to be 26 or 27 before I get married." Oh, they all laughed. They thought that was so funny. And my mother, another mother said, asked me, "Are you going to marry a prince because you're such a little princess?" And I said, "No, I'm going to marry a millionaire." Oh, they all laughed. They thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever heard. They were just rolling on the floor. And my mom says, "Why do you think you're going to marry a millionaire?" And I said, "Because I've seen him." Now they all stop laughing, right? Because they're thinking, "Oh, pedophile." "Oh, pedophile. Who are you talking about?" And I said, "I've seen his face on the pillow beside me at night when I'm going to sleep. I look into his eyes and he looks into mine. I know him. I'm going to marry him."
Mhm.
Well, on Sadie Hawkins Day, almost 20 years later, the eyes on the pillow walked into a party I was at, and 3 years later, we got married.
Mhm.
So there is so much to what you're saying. And I know that when I was reading your book, I remember thinking a lot of people that read this book who are not yet dialed into this deeply, although if they're here, they are dialed in. They're just still hanging on the line, waiting for a connection.
Mhm.
They're going to read this book and say, "Well, these were special people. These people weren't me." Because I can't do that sort of thing. That doesn't happen with me. But the truth of the matter is, it happens to all of us at a different level. Would you agree with that?
Yes, if you're talking about so people reading my book and reading about the regression material that comes forward that
Hmm.
is from many different clients in my book, yes, because people ask me all the time, well, Linda, I think I want to have a regression, but what if it doesn't work? What if I can't, get there?
Hmm.
And my answer, my honest answer is that I almost never work with someone who doesn't access intuitive information about past lives, about their soul, about their life purpose, and where they come from. Because we're all intuitive beings. We just need support to understand how to use our intuition.
Hmm. I agree. I think that when a lot of times when we fall through that veil, from the other side coming back into the earth plane. And we're supposed to forget where we had been at that point, or I believe we'd all be jumping off of bridges, Dr. Linda, to get back. It's such a great place. So we have to kind of forget all that. But a lot of the lessons that we learned in those previous lifetimes are still going to be so important for this one. There are some times when we really, really need to remember them. So, most people write a book because there's an experience that they experienced that becomes the nexus
Mm,
for their book. What
right.
was the nexus for your book?
Well, I'll answer that in a couple of ways. This book, Soul Design, is my fourth book. So the nexus for my first book, and I always, this is a way of encouraging people to write if they feel inclined to write. I decided, my first book came out in 2009. When I started writing it, it was because I wanted to share regression content from clients because, some people will never have a regression, but people can pick up a book and learn a lot. So I just began to write a book. And I can remember thinking, oh, I'll write this book and maybe it'll never be published, or, and I had some friends, I had a couple of lovely female friends who were published authors. So I contacted each of them separately and I said, give me some tips. How do I find a publisher? How do I find an agent? And both of them separately said to me, Linda, just write the book and stop worrying about, how will you get this book out there? About 6 months later, Kat, as I was in the middle of writing this book, I received a couple of emails unsolicited from reputable publishers. One became my publisher. Linda, would you consider writing a book? So that's one nexus, to believe that if we're following the purpose that's aligned with who we are, then it will happen, and get out of our head and into our process and let it happen. The nexus for this current book, Soul Design, was because I was working more and more with clients, some who are souls from the angelic realm. I had never put content about angelic realm souls into a book with regression material. And so the nexus was, if I can act as if my guides were talking to me, because I think they were, Linda, fill another book with regression content to help people understand which of the three types of souls are they, which I'm sure we'll get into in our talking today, to help people understand we are immortal souls. We live one life to the next. We come into body with purpose, and we're always guided and we're always supported.
Okay, so let's stop on that so that we can come back and talk about that angelic realm and the different souls and all of that, because we have to take a break. Unfortunately, I could just go right on through the commercials, but it doesn't work that way. You are listening to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and we have to take a short break, but don't go away because we're going to be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Kanavos, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velarde's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dreamvision 7 radio network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to the second part of Dreaming Healing on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and we are speaking today about soul design, past lives, origins, purpose, and your dreams. And we have Dr. Linda Backman with us today. And just before the break, we were talking about the angelic realm. We were talking about the nexus for writing her current book, Soul Design. And she said that she began with the nexus began in her first book, and then just traveled through the other books. So, Dr. Linda, I'm going to ask you to pick up where you were just before we went to commercial about our soul design, the different types, and the angelic realm. Take it away.
Okay. Well, what I began to learn, now it's something like 30 years ago. I started guiding regression about 30 years ago. And most of my clients in the early years of guiding regression were what we call, or what I call, the term that was given to me, an earth-based soul. So the definition of an earth-based soul is a soul that comes into body repetitively over and over on Earth, obviously in a human body, to grow and evolve. It's like stepping into the body, like going to school. So we go to school in body primarily, not out of body. We learn by incarnating, and an earth-based soul moves through their growth as a soul from lifetime to lifetime, almost exclusively on Earth. We have free will when we come into body. So we come in with a life plan. We can talk about that in more detail, but we come into body with a plan for our intentions for current life, but we have free will when we get here. So we can go against our plans. So an earth-based soul, usually as an earth-based soul evolves, has hundreds, if not 1,000 or more lives on Earth to gain wisdom and become more filled with, we might say, a more healthy, broad, advanced perspective of life.
Amazing. That's amazing. And that brings me to the next question. Can our dreams, if we're not going to you for regression, can our dreams help us discover how to live your life purpose?
Well, I think dreams can serve all kinds of purposes, but yes, our dreams can give us glimpses of past lives. Our dreams can help us, so as an example, let's just say we're someone and we've been in a certain type of work for 15 years, 18 years, and we sort of know we've become stale with that work. There's something else we'd like to be doing with our life, but we live in the human body. So, and we live with all these worries and concerns, and I'll just say fear is a human emotion, but not a soul level emotion. So we often hold back from making a transition work-wise. Dreams can show us and encourage us to make that transition, and our dreams can even show us the potential direction of where to go. So yes, I think dreams can help us in all kinds of ways.
So I would like to read a little section that plays into everything that we've been talking about so far from your
Okay.
book, Soul Design. And it's for those of you who already have copies, get your copy out and turn to chapter 3, page 56. And we're going to be talking about Jeannie facing hardship for the good of all. So I'm outside alone. And Jeannie's writing this, by the way, it's Jeannie's part in the book. Jeannie says, I'm outside alone in an open meadow where the temperature is comfortable. I have coarse leather shoes. I have a skirt and a shawl that are not fancy, more like work clothes. My skin is white and I have long brown hair pulled back in a single braid. As an older teenage girl, I feel torn about loving the scene and being afraid of loss. I've been in this place all my life, and it is peaceful and it is beautiful. Yet I'm afraid I will have to leave. I've been married off and do not want to go. I'm afraid and couldn't have a say about my to-be husband. I don't like him. He's an older farmer, and I will just be worked and used. There's no kindness or joy. My life as I have loved it is over. I'm very, very sad. I see no way out. So then Dr. Linda writes, more often than I can count, I've had clients, almost always women in life today, who discover a past life where their parents arranged a forced marriage. So Dr. Linda, tell us about this. You say you have a number of clients who go through this. I think back then this was a fear many of us had. And if we've reincarnated from past lives, do you think we carry that fear with us now?
Yeah, well, Kat, first of all, yes, this is a common theme that, so what you're reading is direct regression content that I simply transcribed from the regression session with the client, whose obviously fictitious name is Jeannie. That's not the client's real name. And over and over, I have clients who go to past lives, and it's back in the day where usually the father decided who the daughter would marry. Often it was, the neighbor next door that owned land. So the father's, the family farm that the client lived on could merge with the next door neighbor's farm. I hate to say it, but there were at times ulterior motives of the father, and the daughter had no choice. The daughter, she would either be kicked out of the house, and there are all kinds of, I could give a lot more details about past lives and what some of my clients in past lives did about forced marriage. But oftentimes there's a forced marriage. It's a marriage, without happiness, required to take care of chores, required to have children. And it's the nature of how our human culture has evolved over time. Often the client who's learning about the sort of required marriage realizes that in life today, she needs to use her own ability to choose what works for her and what doesn't work for her. But yes, often there's residual fear of well, what if I make the wrong choice? What if my family's not happy? Maybe I should marry, this person because it'll be a better arrangement for my family, or the person. Actually, here's another piece that pops into my mind. Another common aspect of what we're talking about, Kat, is that often my client is at times is female in the past life. Everybody, please know that if you're female today, you've certainly been male in past lives and vice versa. But often I have a client who falls in love with someone in their, late teen or, early 20s, and then they're disallowed from marrying that person because the person is not of the right station in life, and the family disallows the marriage. As a human culture, we need to keep evolving beyond that, that we have no rights, that we have no ability to choose. But yes, there are times when the trauma, the fear, shows up in current life that stems from past life.
So taking that a bit farther, would you say that one of the benefits from remembering our past lives in this present life is to be able to pull on that knowledge to keep us from making the same mistake again, sort of like Groundhog Day?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we come into body most of the time with, lack of awareness of our past lives. That's purposeful because if we came, your story, Kat, that you were telling about the eyes on the pillow, let's just suppose that soul, the soul that ultimately became your husband, let's say that soul is someone that you married in a past life. And within 2 or 3 years, some illness occurred, and that beloved in past life passed from an illness. And early on in your marriage, suddenly you were a widow. If you knew that, then you might say, "Oh, I can't be with you, person in current life. I can't be with you because I'm afraid I'll lose you." So we need to have this, you might say, veil that blocks our past life awareness in order to move forward with making conscious choices. But yes, I mean, I have, I've been married for a very long time, and I know a lot about my past lives with my husband. And there was a particular life where, when we were betrothed in a past life, um, he was a military person. He was a general, long ago, and he died fighting, and we were never able to marry. So um, I won't say that
Not in this time.
So yes, and so yes, we need to work through those, we might say, karmic issues to grow and evolve, but we also need to grow and evolve the human culture, which means all people have rights to make choices about their lives.
Yes, absolutely. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you've said, I do remember rather than doing regression, I do it in dreams. I dreamt that of a life. I had two lives in the bayou. I was Cajun. And one of them, I was madly in love with this guy, and my dad said, "No, you can't marry him." I had lost my mother. She disappeared in the bayou, not sure how. And I was raising all the kids. And he said, "No, you can." And my father in that life was my father in this life, who was very controlling. And I ran away. I got in a little boat and I took off with this guy, got married. Turned out this guy was a monster. He was cruel. He beat me. He locked me away. I got loose and got into a boat to escape, and I don't know what happened, but I met him again in this life. He was gorgeous. He was just absolutely gorgeous. And all my friends kept saying, "He comes from a great family. He's such a wonderful guy. He's crazy about you. What's wrong with you?" And the voice in my head kept saying, "Don't do it. Don't do it. So I didn't. And then I did find my husband, who I was, the eyes on the pillow, whom I was watching for. But what I thought was interesting also with that is that I always look for validation, whether it's in dreams or past lives. Give me something to sink my teeth into in this life to show me that it's not just my imagination, because I have a wonderful imagination. It can go anywhere. So I need to make sure that I stay grounded when I do that. And I remember in that life, I lived in a stilt house or a tree house is what we called them. They were built up above the water as a tree house. And our little boats were tied down loosely underneath so that as the water rose and fell, the boat wouldn't sink. And I told my husband this, and he goes, there's no such thing as tree houses in the swamp. Have you ever seen the swamp? I said, yeah, I remember them. There were alligators all underneath your house because that's where you threw your garbage. So you never, ever wanted to fall in accidentally. And then the movie True Blood, you remember, I don't know if you saw it, but it was a big hit on, I think it was HBO, True Blood with the vampires in the bayou. And they were showing shots at the opening scenes with the music. And one of them was the tree houses. And I pointed to it and I said to my husband, I lived in that. That's the validation for the dream. Do your clients ever give you validation for their past lives?
Oh, I mean, what was coming to mind, Kat, as you were sharing what you just shared.
And you know what? We have to, we have to take a break and hold on to that. We'll talk about it when we come back, because we're actually 2 minutes between the break, and the producer's probably going, oh, God. So anyhow, you're listening to Dreaming Healing on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and we'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat Kanavos, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Berg. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide. Have you met your physician within yet? The Nautilus and multi-award-winning book, Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing, is a memoir that takes you down the rabbit hole of healing dreams and interpretations, mixed with conventional medicine and treatments. Listen to the hookah-puffing caterpillar ask, "Who are you?" Dr. Bernie Siegel says Kathleen's story is powerful, honest, and eye-opening. Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing by 3-time breast cancer survivor Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Buy the book and audio at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers. Darkest hours to brightest moments, transformation from despair to happiness, and chaos to clarity. Real people, real pain, real healing. Life-threatening illness, death, abusive relationships, divorce, and overcoming addiction are challenges these men and women faced head-on. See how they emerged stronger and happier. Buy the new book, Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change by Reverend Patricia Caginello and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available on sacredstoriespublishing.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kat Kanavos, and we are talking with Dr. Linda Backman, Backman, about regression. And what I'm doing is balancing it with my dreams, because I'm the queen of dreams, with her work, which is regression. And I asked the question, what about validation? Because I believe, but I like to validate. I trust, but I want to validate because I know myself, I have an incredible imagination and I can imagine just about anything. So I asked her just before the break, what is the validation that she may see or her clients may give her on the regressions? Take it away, Dr. Linda.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. I'll answer that in a couple of ways. First, people will often ask me before they schedule a regression, they'll say, well, Linda, how do I know what I'm going to learn is real? How do I know I'm not just making it up? And what I say to them, I say a couple of things. One, I say, if you can hold that worry until we're finished with the regression, then after you've had a regression, then it'll be clearer to you how you didn't make it up. But along with that, I say to them, what you're going to discover through the regression is that at times you're going to have spontaneous emotion that just comes up out of the blue. You're not making that up. You're going to be describing scenes and clothing and changes and actions that are going on in the regression, that it's going to have a flow that you couldn't possibly keep that going unless you're some screenwriter that writes script for movies. So that's one. But the other piece that came to my mind, Kat, as you were talking before the break, oftentimes the client, well, let me say this. The client will always experience more than they ever verbalize out loud. That's just a normal part of regression. The client can't possibly speak everything during the regression that they're receiving. And often they're getting these images. They're getting images of sometimes military uniforms, buildings, style of dress, but commonly after the regression, clients will go get on Google and they'll start Googling, well, what was the uniform of the day, in this war? What did this group of soldiers wear? And they'll go find a literal image on the internet of exactly what they saw in terms of the buttons, the color, the style of the jacket, in that way, they'll validate it. But I'll say just one more quick thing. The other is that when I'm guiding regression, the past life has to relate to current life. The past life has to explain fears, worries, relationships, health issues, skills. It has to link up with something that's going on in current life.
Mm-hmm. That's important. That's really important. So through these transcripts of clients that you're talking about, the sessions and the accompanying exercises you have in your book, how can our audience go and get your book and use that to embrace their higher self in their current life? You talk about the exercises in your book, and I was reading some of them. They're very interesting. I thought they were great. Can you give us one and tell us how people in the audience right now could use that?
Well, I'll say a couple of things about that. First of all, we're always guided. We always have, people can call it a spirit guide, they can call it a guardian angel, whatever term fits for them. We always have at least one, if not more than one, but we always have a primary spiritual guide. Sometimes that spiritual guide is a soul, just to you go back to your meditation, and there are times that Saint Germain shows up as a guide. That doesn't happen all the time, but that certainly happens. We always have a spiritual guide that's our primary guide. That might be a soul that's not our higher self, or sometimes our primary spiritual guide is our own soul energy called our higher self. So it's a matter of using intuition. It's a matter of trusting. How does intuition work? So, for example, Kat, for you, one of your stronger skills, it's probably not your only intuitive skill, one of your stronger skills is dreams, clearly. But if people just think about intuition, some of us use imagery, like pictures in our mind. That's what we formally call clairvoyance. But some of us, imagery isn't our strongest intuitive ability. For some of us, it's emotion. Um, we
Absolutely.
we take a trip and we go somewhere and we arrive there, and suddenly we're having emotions. We don't know where they came from. They might be easy, comfortable. I love being in this country or this city. They might be, well, I got here and I thought I'd like being here, and now I'm feeling anxiety. That may simply be because there was a past life that happened there. So, could be emotions, can be body sensation, can be physical sensation that ties to a past life. And then lastly, for a lot of us, this works for me a lot. It's just a knowing. It's just cognitive. It's like, I just know that I need to reach out to someone, I've thought all day about a friend that I've not had contact with in 9 months. Well, I'm going to text or call that person, and 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Oh, Linda, I'm so glad that you reached out to me because I needed to talk or I needed to share something." So people need to think about what's their intuitive, we might say, strong suit.
Yeah, I agree. And just to build on what you said, I tell people all the time we're born with spirit guides and guardian angels. And one of the things that we're their job, and they take that job very seriously. And one of the things that we have to learn or relearn again in this lifetime is how to listen to them, how to connect with them, and how to know how to follow the information that they give us, because it can be life-saving. In my case, I was a 3-time breast cancer survivor, and every single time, unfortunately, the medical tests missed it. But my spirit guides and guardian angels that came into my dreams and said, "Do you feel this? That's breast cancer. Go back to your doctors and get a second set of tests." They believed in the medical community. They believed in the doctors. They didn't say, "Go find Swami Wami Rama Lama Ding Dong," because I'd have done it. But the cancer was found all 3 times in the second set of tests, which just, again, builds on what you said. We have spirit guides and guardian angels, and they're here so that we can stay on the path of our life purpose and complete it. So, Dr. Linda, where can we find your book or get in touch with you? Because believe it or not, we're almost up with this hour-long session.
Yeah, I'm just going to add just, and then I'm happy to answer your question. One just quick thing for people, because this often is confusing for people. Sometimes when your primary guide is your higher self, then people need to look as if they're looking not for a separate soul as a guide. That is the case for some people, but they're looking to their own soul energy. So I would just encourage people, and you can read, there's a whole chapter in this new book about connecting with higher self. So people can find my book on Amazon. It is in Kindle version. It's also in audio version. Or they can go to my website, ravenheartcenter.com, and find my book there as well.
And your book was published through Llewellyn, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. Your PR agent contacted me and said, would you like to interview? And I said, yeah, I would. Read the book and said, oh, that's going to be a fun one. So I want to thank you very, very much for being with us today. This has been a great interview. You've got incredible information, and although yours is coming from regression and mine is coming from dreams, they're parallel paths. And I think that that's so important. So if you're having dreams where you've had seen past lifetimes and you have questions, hey, contact Dr. Linda Backman. She can help you. Linda, can you hold your book up next to your face so that we can get a good shot of that and everybody can put your face with your book? Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
If you missed last week's show with Peter Kanova on quantum spirituality, watch or listen to the archives. You can go to my website again, Kat, the Queen of Dreams, and look for that little black button and click on it. It will take you to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. And you can click on the button in there and listen and watch that show. The next show that I'm going to have will be about your inner billionaire with Debbie Dobbins. So don't miss that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have like 30 seconds left. So somebody sent me a dream about their teeth getting in the way whenever they were trying to talk in their dreams. It would wake them up. And finally, in the last dream they had, this was happening over and over again, which is called a recurrent dream. Their teeth fell out while they were talking. That just fell out into their hand. And they wanted to know what that meant and what they could do to be able to keep their teeth in their mouth when they're speaking. Often when our teeth get loose in our mouth, you know, loose tongue, loose teeth, what is it you're talking about? Are you talking about somebody or something you shouldn't be talking about? Are you talking too much? That is where that symbolism often comes in, where maybe you shouldn't be talking about that or so much. Maybe you should just be listening. Is there somebody in your family, in your friendship group that needs for you to just listen and not, you know, spew out at them? So that's a quickie on that dream, although I could go for hours, but we need to finish this. So remember, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you again, Dr. Linda Backman. And remember, everybody dreams, but some dreams save lives. Good night.
Thank you for joining us this evening. And a big thanks to our producer. Tune in next time to Dreaming Healing for more cutting-edge research, live dream interpretations, and stories with radio host and award-winning author Kat O'Keefe Kanavos. Listen every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Time with call-in live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. Remember, everyone dreams, but some dreams save lives. Live your dreams. Find more about Kat at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com. That's Kathleen with a K. OKEEFEKANAVOS, or The Queen of Dreams on Google search.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.